this at a later date if you have some team members that were unable to make it. But what we'll do is we'll go ahead and kick off and get right started. So my name is Dan Rosenrash. For those that don't know me, I am CEO here at Viirtue. I'm also joined by Spencer from LoupDB, who will be taking over most of today's presentation. And I also have with me Charlene Gustafson, who's our VP of Sales, if you guys want to say hi.
Hi.
Hey, everyone.
Awesome. So we have a couple slides that we're gonna go through here first, and then again, we're just gonna hand it right over to Spencer so he can take you right through the application. But we're gonna go over today just real quick. We're gonna just talk about channel partners next week, some stuff, the new payment experience. I'll show you guys some teaser screenshots today, but at channel partners next week, you guys will actually be able to live demo that brand new customer payment portal. Also, we'll be talking about our Viirtue Connect event happening here at the end of the day, as well as Spencer's segment, and then we'll open it up for some QA at the end if we have some time and questions. And to that extent, if you guys do have any questions, please feel free to add them to the questions box in the GoToWebinar control panel. We'll try and answer them as we go. And again, at the end, we'll have some open Q&A if that's doable. All right. Ooh, wrong way. But first, next week we will be at Channel Partners Conference and Expo. So if you guys are attending, please definitely feel free to stop by our booth. We're super excited. We're launching a ton of new IP that we've been working on essentially since last September. So super excited to not only get it out the door, but just get it in people's hands for the first time. So I don't think this code is good for a free pass anymore. I think it's just discounted passes. I believe the free, Shar, you can correct me if I'm wrong, passes expired like 2 weeks ago.
That is correct. They expired on the 24th. However, like Dan mentioned, that there are discounts available still. If you are looking to attend last minute, definitely feel free to stop by and meet the team.
Awesome. Thank you, Shar. All right. So here's some first official public looks at our new mobile commerce experience. So we're going to have this again. You'll be able to demo, play, and touch with it. And we're showing you right now is just the mobile experience, but obviously it's optimized for desktop as well. But everything that we're doing moving forward, essentially since last September, we designed for mobile first, which means that everything that we make, we designed to work on your phone first and then to work on your desktop secondary, since that's where most people transact nowadays, of course. So again, just some little screens here, give you a little bit of a sneak peek of what's coming, but there's tons more. So really excited for you guys to actually test and play with this. But as you see here, you can toggle between like dark mode, light mode. Your customers can toggle between like English and Spanish. It's accessible. So if you have like a blind person using it, we meet all those compliance standards. As you see here, like a little bit of the wallet, credit card, e-check workflow. So again, super excited to get this into your hands. Definitely, if you're going to be at channel partners next year, next week, please definitely stop by the booth and it'll be fun to show you. Plus, we'll have some swag to give away, of course. All right, and then next we also have Viirtue Connect, just another little flyer here. We should have the website should be up this month, as well as the prospectus, if anybody's interested in that. We already are almost pre-sold out with pre-registrations alone, which is awesome. Super excited to see all you guys there. We're planning, Charles will maybe go into, we're planning a ton of like after hours events and social events, as well as trainings throughout the days. We'll be staying at the Hilton in downtown St. Petersburg. It's right overlooks the water there. So it's gonna be a fun event, great time for you guys to come network, learn, all those good things, you know, meet with vendors that are gonna be exhibiting there too. So if you have not already pre-registered, I would strongly suggest you do, because like we said, we are almost sold out. Shockingly enough, we're only able to get about 100 and change rooms from the Hilton. So we do have a limited amount of space. So if you do need to sign up, just go to this viirtue.typeform.com URL you see here, or you can click it. It's been in a bunch of different email blasts, and pre-register for sure. All right, and with that said, if you have not joined our Viirtue community Slack, please ask your account rep here at Viirtue to send you an invite. It's been super productive for a lot of our partners, the ability for them to knowledge share and just help each other. So we want to continue to encourage that. But that being said, I'm going to give you control here, Spencer, and you let me know if you have any issues.
Are you nervous?
Am I nervous about you?
Yeah.
Always.
There's a lot of power. How's it going, everyone? This is a little strange, Dan. I'm not used to talking to myself or you, so maybe don't mute yourself so it's not like a one-way conversation. Can you see my screen?
We can.
Awesome. So I turned my video on right now, so you can basically see that I'm a real person, even though I put this big cheesy picture of my face up in front here. But just want to say hi, everyone. My name is Spencer. I'm going to try and make this And thank you, Dan and Shar, for bringing me on. What I'm going to try and do with this call is basically break down how, and here was my thought process. I want to add as much value as I can to everyone on this call, all 250 of you, which is, by the way, a huge number. Thank you, Dan. Anyways, so what I want to do is provide as much value as possible. And to do that, I want to explain exactly how, like, if I was hired, I would go and do sales for you. And the context behind this, now that I'm going to flip over to my other screen here, is, give you a little background on me, just so you know I'm not totally full of it. I will tell you that I am full of a lot of it, but not totally. So basically a real high level, my telecom career started off at a company called AMPI. If you guys are familiar with them, they ended up selling to Intelliquent, which is now Cinch. I was with the top rep in the country there, and then I went to Vonage, did 3 years at Vonage. And then from Vonage, I started the company that is a vendor with Viirtue today. It's called Loop. And while I was building Loop, I also ran director of sales at a small MSP called NetTrio. So I know a lot of people on this call are in the MSP space, and NetTrio was awesome. We sold NOC as a service and SD-WAN and voice and all sorts of services, top to bottom on the MSP front. And then recently I bought a company called Median. So today I run Loop and Median, and I want to break down basically sales and how, we could hopefully try and get you to find and close customers as fast as possible. I know that's a big, goal to set for this call, but I'm going to explain exactly how I would do it and some of the tools that I think you guys could use to find new customers and how we did it at Vonage. And I will preface this with there's going to be an undertone of CRM integration, if not a huge undertone, because that's what Loop does and that's self-serving. So I think we can do a double win-win here. And so that's what I'm going to try and break down. Normally I'd ask make sense, but everyone's muted, so I'll just pretend everyone gets it. By the way, if you have any questions, hit the chat. I've got it open on my face, so I don't see myself, and I'll just turn the video off now so you can focus on the slides.
Spencer, I've never unmuted everybody before in a GoToWebinar, and this is kind of off script. You want to do it?
I mean, I'm down, but I don't know if there's gonna be like dogs and stuff in the back or something.
Yeah, if you guys are cool, I'm gonna unmute everybody. Just obviously, if you can keep your mics muted. If it becomes a distraction, I'll mute everybody again. But let's try it. Why not? There we go. Cool. All right, keep doing your thing.
I'm back. All right, yeah, that muted me when you did it. So like unmuted everyone and then muted me. Anyways. So here's some quick context. When I worked at Vonage, I was one of the early on ones when they decided to move to business. And I just want to show you this. This is their acquisition list through the years. So it went Vocalocity, Telesphere, Simple Signal, iCore, and then my favorite purchase is, if you look at the bottom, there's one called gUnify. That's my favorite purchase. We'll come back to that. And then we acquired a company called Nexmo, TalkBox, and New Voice Media. The reason I'm telling you this is traditionally everyone thought of Vonage, and maybe I'll bring my face back here because I work with my hands. Traditionally, everyone thought of Vonage as like a residential crap VoIP carrier. What they didn't really realize is they were one of, if not the largest voice providers like in the globe because of the international, residential calling. And then they made this transition into business. They acquired all these companies because they were just flush with cash. And as they acquired companies, they would look at basically how it impacted the business. And as you will look at this, you're going to see more and more of them have different kind of value-added services. And when you get to about the Nexmo point, which I don't know if you can see my cursor, Nexmo just sells APIs, right? TalkBox just sells APIs. New Voice Media is an entire phone system inside of Salesforce. That's it. Holistically, that's all they did. And they bought it for $350 million, not $350. So the biggest acquisition was literally a phone system in the CRM. New Voice Media wouldn't even take on customers that didn't have a phone system in the CRM. By the way, I know everyone is unmuted. Can I get some feedback? Can somebody say hi or what up, or that makes sense? Or maybe everyone's not unmuted, I guess.
Cool. You're good.
Awesome. There we go. Thank you. Dude, I hate this feeling of talking to the wall. So gUnify was my favorite acquisition, and I think it actually shaped the future of Vonage because gUnify was a Chrome extension that connected BroadSoft to CRM platforms. And so what ended up happening was Vonage basically acquired gUnify for an unknown number. It was small enough where it didn't even hit the announcements. And still to this day, I have no clue, and I'm friends with the owner of gUnify. But what ended up happening was now we had a targeted audience to go after. So even though gUnify was a cool product, we could now go after Salesforce, Zendesk, Zoho, customers like that. And that shaped the future of Vonage, in my opinion, because then they started the next 5 acquisitions were all API kind of platform as a service driven. The reason I'm telling you this is, let me click back over here, is gUnify basically, maybe I can figure out what I'm doing here. There we go. gUnify opened up Vonage to Salesforce, Zoho, Clio, Bullhorn as an example. And I was on their direct sales team and started off as a peon. And at the end, I was on the enterprise sales team and I ran the office out of Dallas. And what we learned with gUnify was sales was easier. Now, I want to give you some context because they spend $1 gazillion on marketing, which is something all of us can't do. They had an inbound call center that was signing up 3,000 new companies a month, not including seats. Like that was just the companies. And then they had a direct sales team, and we would go out and find, more or less whale hunting, I would say, where we would try and find customers. And so what we did was we looked at our product set and we saw, okay, gUnify is a CRM integration tool. The CRM integration tool opened us up to Salesforce, Zoho, Clio, and Bullhorn. What we realized after talking to customers was like, they really, not to sound negative, didn't care about the voice. It was like, if it didn't break, don't fix it. Avaya, Cisco, all these different tools. But when we pitched a Salesforce integration or a Zoho or a Clio or a Bullhorn integration, they were always heavily invested into their CRM. It normally did like their ticketing. It normally did, potentially their billing, revenue, sales, leads, prospects, opportunities. It was like the core of the business. So when you started to talk to the customers about what is the core of their business, that was compelling enough to get people to switch. And so when we figured that out, we're like, how do we find, as greedy, slimy sales guys, where Salesforce, Zoho, Clio customers are? And that's when these tools on the right changed our lives. And I'm going to give you this is, back in 2016, 17 when I was there. But I'm going to break this down for you. So there's my favorite tool on the internet outside of my own is Viirtue. And Viirtue is a website where you can go to it, and it's pretty simple. It's Google for source code. What it does is it looks at all the tools installed on every website and puts them in a list for you. You want to find people using Salesforce, you type in Salesforce. So I'm going to go through this. The reason I'm showing you all this, as I'm trying to fly through these slides here, is 80% of all the sales on the direct sales team had CRM integration. So we start to look at those numbers, and obviously I'm here in front of you today with Loop of a product that does CRM integration. And I think the context is I had insider trading information. Vonage, 80% of all their direct sales, that's where it was outbound, had CRM integration. It was like, okay, like every VoIP provider needs this. Here's how we did it. So we would go to Viirtue, we'd type in Salesforce. When you do that, here's the results. And you can do this with any tool, by the way, WordPress, Shopify, Salesforce, Zendesk, Zoho, Redtail. We have, by the way, slight pitch here. Loop has 80 integrations that we integrate with. So you could dump any of those 80 integrations here and basically get their customer list. So here's how this works. You go in, you click Salesforce, it says usage and statistics. It'll show you. So what's also cool about Viirtue is it does snapshots every month of all of the websites in its inventory. So it can show you as more and more websites add Salesforce, and it can give you a growth curve. Interestingly enough, if you look at, and these are screenshots, but if you look at the right side over here, it says total live sites, 72,300. I gotta tell you, this is a low number. Salesforce is like a multiple billion-dollar company, but they have a bunch of different tools. So this is just one subset of their tools. But if you click it, it'll give you a list of all the Salesforce customers. I think it gives you like 100 free. And then you can download the full list. And I will preface you, I've got no relation to Viirtue. It's a $400 a month to use Viirtue. It's like an enterprise software tool. I sign up for 1 month, 2 months, download the list that I want, and then get out. And so, you know, $400 for a potential lead list, I think is reasonable. And so you download all this, and you've now got a list of what I would argue your perfect customers, assuming you have CRM integration, which, you know, that's the underlying sales pitch here. But so like Loop integrates with Salesforce, so we can connect that to your account, and now you can go after these guys. And I'll say maybe these big guys with the huge tech spends and the gazillions and dollars of revenue, they probably, I can almost guarantee you, they have their phone system connected. But as you go down this list, it's a pretty simple email that you got to send. And I'll get into that here in a second. And the email basically says, hey, I noticed you guys are using Salesforce. Is your phone system connected to Salesforce? It's really that easy. I mean, we can dial into that more, but when you break down the brass tacks of it, that's what you want to know. So here's how you can do this for free. This is also cheating. This is what we did at Vonage. Go to LinkedIn and type in Salesforce admin. Dude, shooting fish in a barrel. What this will do, this is cheating. Like what'll happen is every big company, let me tell you something. If you want to go upstream, like past, you know, 20, 25 seats per deal, do this. Because if somebody is hiring someone just to manage the Salesforce account, I can tell you something. They're above 50 seats. And so what you can do, and what I've done in this for multiple people, is you type in Salesforce admin, and it'll kick out a list. Like, so in this list, let's see if there's 53,000 results. What I would do with this list if I was working for you being anyone on this, is I would then filter the results by within 50 miles of me. And that would give me the largest businesses within 50 miles that have a Salesforce admin that are using Salesforce. And so from there, I would craft emails to the Salesforce admin. You don't want to call, you know, email the CTO, he's going to ignore you. You want to basically offer something that's going to be beneficial to the Salesforce admin, since that's her job. So what you would do is you would say, hey, I noticed your Salesforce admin at X, Y, and Z. I'm sure you guys have a deep Salesforce integration. Would, you know, I just wanted to ask, like, is the phone system, it seems like you guys are heavily invested into Salesforce. Like, is your phone system collecting all the data and analytics inside of Salesforce? Yes or no? If not, would you be open to a conversation? Still a little salesy, a little cheesy, and I want to explain this a little bit more, and I do further in this. Now, you might be thinking, all right, this is great. How do I get their emails? Oh boy, do I got you covered. So this is why I hate talking to myself. I just started to lose it a little bit. But there's a tool out there called Apollo. I've tried them all. I want to come back and say I've tried them all. I have no affiliate with Apollo, but in Apollo, that's APOLLO.io, I believe. Look for apollo.io, basically. You can type in, you can sign up. It's really cheap, and you basically, within reason, get unlimited emails. And Apollo's, for context, is pretty smart. They scrape LinkedIn. So they know where you work, they know your name, and then they have a machine learning algorithm that basically takes the 50 different variations your email could be. It pings all those 50 different variations, and when the ping comes back, they know your email. So Apollo pretty much knows everyone's email if you have a LinkedIn profile.
There's a tool like this that our team uses as well called Seamless, which is pretty similar, and it integrates.
So I use Seamless, and Seamless is awesome. I hate Seamless because I love it. By the way, I'm a big fan of the founder of Seamless. I think their sales trajectory is awesome, but they bill annually. And so like if you're unhappy, like you're stuck in a 12-month contract, and then that evergreens. So like I like Apollo because you can sign up for 25, 50, 75 bucks, cancel if you're not getting what you want. Seamless takes like the full 12 months up front. That's my only beef with Seamless. Otherwise, great tool. And that's why I pointed people towards Apollo. So Apollo, you can give this a try. What's interesting is from Viirtue, you can upload the Viirtue list in here and pull people. You can, they have a Chrome extension where you can actually build lists inside of Salesforce and pull them into Apollo. Or you can do what I did in this video, and you can just type in job title Salesforce, and you don't even need any of those other tools. and it'll kick out a list here for you. Obviously, you would have to filter by location because I see Israel and some other places, but, or I guess that's not. Anyways, so let's move on. The email. Everyone thinks that email is dead. And because of that, they've ruined email for everyone. Email is not dead. And I send emails every freaking day and they crush. Let me tell you something. You're not going to like what I'm about to show you either because it takes work. That's basically it. If you're willing to put in the work, email works 100% of the time. It has to be super personalized though. So as I mentioned, and the reason I even put this at the beginning of the slide, I acquired another company called Median. Basically, I'm trying to invest in Loop. I took the profits from Loop. I bought a company called Median. We don't need to talk about that on this call. The reason I'm telling you is I'm growing Median through cold email using this exact method. It's not in the VoIP industry, but it's this exact method. So that's why I can talk to you so passionate about it. So how does that work? I get these emails. This is a cold email that I sent to Peloton and ended up having 3 conversations with Peloton for Peloton to buy Median services in one cold email. And I ended up talking to, I think, 3 people. And instead of, giving you the woo-hoo-ah or whatever that is, I'm going to show you what I did. So in this, I had no clue who I was talking to, but I went to the Peloton website. I was looking at a Peloton for my wife in full context. And a Peloton is like $2,000 plus like, I don't know, $600 a year. It's insanely expensive. If you have one, you're clearly one of my rich friends. And so I was looking at buying one for my wife. She asked for it. I wasn't like doing any subliminal messages there. But the reason I tell you that is they're basically effectively selling Pelotons through an e-commerce store with no, like, blindly buying a product worth thousands of dollars without even talking to a representative. Median is like a screen share tool. So long story short, I'm talking to the Peloton team in chat, and I was like, this could be so much better. And so I decided to fire a cold email. It says, hey Peloton, yesterday I was on your site looking for a treadmill and had such a great experience. I wanted to record you this video. That's no shit. I recorded a video using a tool called OBS. It's free. You can go download it right now. And then I uploaded it to YouTube, marked it as unlisted, and sent this video. And what this video is me recording on their website what I experienced. And I sent this to them. And if you notice, if you look under here, it says youtube.com. And I obviously dropped this like candid, kind of image. So I wanted them to freak out a little bit, right? So they're getting a cold email. Most people mark unread. Then it says a message from Peloton. Then it says it's on YouTube in real time right now. If I sent Dan an email and be like, hey man, this was my experience with Viirtue, uploaded it to YouTube and sent this to him, he would 100% at least at minimum watch the video, right? And so I will tell you, if you put the effort in, this lands. So I ended up meeting people at Peloton, and now they have a demo account with my other software company I acquired. And you're like, oh God, does this work? It works when you're freaking whale hunting. So here's an email that I sent to Extreme Terrain. I bought a 2022 Ford Bronco and I wanted some Bronco parts. Boom, sent them this video. By the way, dude watched it and sent me an email back. Here's another one that I sent to Active Campaign. And so these are all personalized experiences that they know for a fact it's not a cold email, right? This isn't spam. And what happens is I've invested time in this, right? And they can see that. And even if they don't want my product, they're getting a piece of value. And that piece of value is like, how can we improve the customer service experience from that side? My point would be is if you're sending these cold emails to people, you can take this or make a variation of this and it will hit 100% of the time. Let me tell you something. People that tell you that the emails need to be sent 10, 11, or you need some like excessive drift campaign, they got the first email. The 11th email, they just hate you. If they didn't respond the first one or the second one, I do recommend a follow-up strategy. But if the first or second email doesn't hit, then your message sucks. And so the reason I can tell you this with confidence is I use a tool called Lemlist, which I'm not advertising. I do like the tool. And I have sent bulk emails in the ballpark of 10,000 a month and taken different strategies to make sure they stay out of spam, personalized it, name, company, and all that stuff, job title, reviewed everyone and pushed send. And it did not hit. As soon as I say it hit like any email. Like 40% were opened, right? I think 10% clicked a link and like 2 or 1% responded. It's terrible. Like, and then I felt dirty afterwards. This is different, right? Because it's way more personalized. It's not scalable, but if you're sending it to people that you want to land as a customer and you already know they're big, you put in the work before, you're much more excited about sending this. Like I'll be pumped if I land, like, I mean, Peloton's in a demo. We landed Active Campaign, we landed Similar Web with this strategy, and we landed Wistia all in like the last, oh God, all in like the last 3 months. So I'll tell you it works. Is that a lot of new business? No, but you put those logos on your website and I think we're heading in the right direction. And then, you know, if you figure out a good sales funnel, like, hey, this works. I've proven this, which is what I'm trying to tell you today. Now you can go higher. It says this works. Just please put your head down, take these actions, and you know, you can scale this. Now, I know a lot of this might be landing on deaf ears because a lot of certain people different companies focus on the channel. I'm just trying to give you alternative options here. So as an example, to back up a little bit, this is what we saw from Vonage, right? So Vonage ended up on, you know, if you look at the top left, that's Bullhorn's website. They landed on Salesforce App Exchange from this. And now these CRM tools are sending business their way, right? That's the holy grail. Like the holy grail is when we can send business, people send business to you, right? So here's a bunch of proof of concepts, just screenshots, getting kind of old. Right, here's Vonage's website, which by the way, if somebody hits your website, you know, from whatever channel partner, you know, direct sales or whatever, they're gonna have a personal relation when they look at this because there's a pretty good chance they're using one of those integrations, right? They're like, oh, we use Salesforce, or oh, this could be great. So then I did this cheesy question mark and said, does it work for you? And here's what I want to show you. This isn't some big CRM company like Salesforce. They're big. They're not, you know, massive. It's a company called LeadMaster. This is a Loop customer on LeadMaster's website. Company called Monster VoIP, run by a friend of mine named Colin Mitchell. He made it all the way onto their website. If you see in the video here, there's a face of him doing a demo of CRM integration with LeadMaster. LeadMaster loves this. They're like, why would we build all these CRM integrations, right? There's a million different VoIP companies out there. Colin goes, I'll do it all for you. He makes it onto their website with a full demo video, and check this out, a link to his pricing just to get started right there on their site. This works. Here's the Chrome extension we built for Colin. And then that's kind of what I have for you guys now. There's more to this slideshow, but for now, what I'd like to do is, one, stop talking at myself a little bit, and then open it up for one, candid feedback. I would love to hear your thoughts, concerns, if this is something that you think would be helpful, if it's not, and just kind of make it more interactive. Dan, what are your thoughts on that?
We actually do had Julie, I see you're on mute, but I know you had a question here. Do you want to go off mute and ask it, or do you want me to fire that question off to Spencer? I could fire it off. So Julie had asked, do we by chance integrate with Apex, which is Salesforce, or some form of it?
Apex is a Salesforce product. I'm not super familiar with that.
Yeah, maybe Julie, if you could send over some info. But the way that Spencer's tool works, and Spencer, I'm not sure if you want to just show that real quick, is basically you can, from like the Loop portal, you can, as long as it's web-based, you can essentially build any kind of integration pretty quickly on the fly. I don't know if you want to give it a little tour of that.
Yeah, let me see if I can set this up on my other screen here. Let's just go to google.com. Alrighty, I'll share my screen again.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Can you see my screen?
We can.
Okay, so at a really high level, what we build is white label Chrome extensions. There's a Viirtue extension out there that you can sign in today. And here's how this works. It's really cool and really simple. So I'm on Google's website right now. This is our Chrome extension. I'll shrink it for now. But if I come over here, and Julia, this is something I want everyone to kind of take away. If I type in my cell phone number into Google, pretty straightforward results. If I come up here, you'll see my phone numbers right here. If you look really close and listen to me lower my voice like that's going to make you squint or something, you can see my phone number is in the URL. What Loop does, and what we've kind of realized, our holy grail moment of many, I guess I'll just laugh at my own cheesiness. So what happens is we've designed a piece of code that allows us to put any number in the URL in real time when somebody calls. So instead of, and then what we do is we take this URL configuration, and when somebody calls you, we'll take the incoming caller ID and we'll place it in the URL and open a new tab in half a second before your phone rings. So taking this logic, we realize that 90 to 95% of all the Chrome, web-based apps out there, like it sounds like Apex would be, uses this form of what the internet calls a webhook. It's pretty common practice. And so the only issue is it might be a different URL. So what we've done is we've gone out there and basically figured out between us and our partners through questions just like yours, 80 different pre-built URLs. And then what we've done is we've pre-built them into our tool, so they're just a drop down. So it would say Apex or Zoho, or you see the LeadMaster one right here. And so we've got any number of CRM integrations, and that can be added kind of on the fly. I hope that was like the long way of answering that question.
Yeah. And actually, real quick, Spencer, before I'm going to show where they can sign up for like their own branded Loop account.
Yeah. I turned off my, well, I think I turned it off. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh no, I was going to say if you can show just like the backend portal where they can actually build
Yeah. Give me 1 second to sign into that. Man, Dan, you would think with like a month in advance, I would have all of this teed up. Thanks for not saying anything. I'll put it out there.
Yeah.
All right, I just signed in. We'll go ahead and grab them. All righty, I'll go ahead and share this, bring my camera back so you guys can see, and then boom. So here's an example of our backend portal. So the Chrome extension is for your customers. This backend portal is to help you manage. This is a demo environment, so it's a little low numbers. But what we'll do is we'll come over here to integrations. And remember how I showed you this Google URL? I'll go ahead and do it again here. All right, so this is the URL. I'll just copy the whole thing. We come over here to integrations, and I'll paste it. Now looking at this, here's my phone number. The rest of this, just because I'm a nerd and know, is garbage. It's just Google tracking us. So I'll just remove that. And then what I'll do is I'll replace this with number in our backend portal. I'll name this Google. We're going to call it Google Apex for Julia. And then here's how the last two questions we have. How do you want the number to appear in Google? Do you want it to be 10 digits with dashes, international? Different CRMs are particular, so you can actually pick and choose which one you want. And then we've done this really cool feature here where we call public or private. Private means only you see it. Public means every customer of ours sees it. The reason we're excited about that is like if anyone who signs up for Loop adds some new CRM integrations and they want to help other Loop customers, you can mark it as public and everyone will see it. You'd be surprised. Most of them get marked as private, which is why it's default. So I'll call this Google Apex. Watch this. I click submit, boom. And here's our backend portal, like I mentioned. Here is our global apps. Here's the apps that we have turned on. So you might have only one customer with only one CRM to begin with. And that one CRM might be Sugar. So you can actually update your Chrome extension in real time and say, just show Sugar in the dropdown. And then a second customer comes on and they say, we need Google Apex, which is a made up CRM. You click add Google Apex, and what'll happen is it'll update your Chrome extension in real time.
Cool.
So now in the drop-down list, you'll have Google, Apex, and Sugar.
And we got another question.
Okay.
And Chris, it's not a basic question. It's definitely a good question. I'm assuming a newer partner, but the question was essentially, what is the benefit of integrating your CRM with your voice system? And I mean, I could definitely take that, Spencer, unless I mean, you're the pro here. So.
I mean, you could probably take it faster than so here's the benefit. That question, I would say, okay. The benefit is really simply, it's a must. And I'm going to tell it to you like I would say it in a sales process if I worked for you. If I met someone who wasn't connecting their phone system to the CRM, I would straight up, probably with too much confidence, look them in the eye and saying, you're directly leaving money on the table. And the reason I would say that is you're already spending so much for the CRM, and most likely all of your data is going into the tool, right? So like, I'm thinking of a couple of tools here. I'm thinking Salesforce can kind of take all the data. Let's talk about a ticketing system as an example. You might have a ticketing system like Viirtue has. If Viirtue doesn't connect the phone system to the ticketing, they don't know how long they talked for without going into, like, we can move the data from the phone system into the CRM automatically without doing anything. Absolute game changer. Because now what happens is when Dan goes and looks at his support tickets, Dan can see on this date, on this time, he talked to this person for this long. He can also look at his tickets, filter those tickets by average talk time, and see who stays on the phone the longest. He can see which one of his tech reps closes tickets the fastest. He can see his peak ticket times based on month by importing the call records. We got 20 inbound calls on Monday. We got 5 on Tuesday. Mondays are our peak days. We can adjust the calendar based on that. So that's just in relation to the tickets. So what we do is we pull the call history into our application from Viirtue. And then depending on what tool you want, we then move that call history into the tool. And we do that by looking at the DIDs, so the phone numbers. So I can show inside of Dan's ticketing system, every person Dan called, inbound, outbound, date, time, duration. And as you move forward, right, as you start logging that data, you can start to see patterns. You can start to see talk time. You can start to see problem customers if it's ticketing. You can see marketing strategies and how they affect revenue. Right. So like if I'm, a car dealership spending money online for, billboards and Facebook ads and pay-per-click, I'm going to throw different DIDs in there and I'm going to see how they impact it. Well, we got 12 calls from the billboard, 500 from Facebook ads, right? So then you can start to see the revenue and how it impacts the business inside of your core tool. Like, it's basically like having 2 people talk to you and not having a clue, like it basically makes it.
I'll add some color too, like the easy win that I can think of. And for those of you that don't know my background, I started my career at Nortel about 15 years ago, where they were kind of very famous for their contact center products. So we would install these very expensive contact center Nortel solutions in like a cold calling call center where you just have 100 people just dialing all day. So there's a feature, and it's in NetSapiens as well, that we had in Nortel, and it was basically like a wrap up timer. So, and what that wrap up timer was there for was when that cold caller was done with that call, for them to manually log those notes in their CRM, who they spoke to, what they spoke about, the caller number, whatever the case was. So the way that this directly translates is we essentially automated, or Spencer's tools essentially automated that step. So now those cold callers, instead of having to spend 1 to 5 minutes after a call logging details about that conversation in the CRM, much of that happens automatically, and that cold caller can then get back to dialing, which instantly translates to more money and more conversions for that call center. But we did. I do want to digress from there. Hopefully, we answered your question well enough.
Yeah. By the way, sorry if it came off like I was talking at you. What I was trying to do is, I guess, sell you. I wanted to treat you as if like you were a customer, and I was trying to explain why this is important. At the end of the day, what Loop does at a really high level, and I should have started with this, is it just moves the data into the CRM, and then you can report on it however you want, right? You can build your own KPIs. I just kind of threw a bunch. I like verbally threw up at you, so I apologize for that. Yeah, I'm super pumped that this is recorded.
Yeah, and we do have a bunch more questions just came in, Spencer. So we have okay. Josh. Hey, Josh. We have how many CRMs have call logging today with Loop?
5. All right, so Salesforce, I'll show you. How about that? It's right in our tool. It's easier to just show you. So inside of our tool, I'm not gonna keep going on you, but like we built single sign-on with all these tools. So let me show you how easy it is to connect Salesforce. You literally just click this button. We send an API to Salesforce and we say, is this a real user? So we use single sign-on with Salesforce. I click Spencer and I sign in. Salesforce goes, awesome. Sends me an API back and we're done. Also, Josh, one of the important things to understand is this is actually happening at the AWS level, not at the Chrome extension level. What that means is once you've connected this, I can effectively lose internet and walk away from my computer and it's still going to log the calls. The reason I tell you that is we don't care if it comes through your desk phone, your soft phone, your web phone, or whatever. As long as it shows up in your call history API, which it will, then we'll log it. So the tools are, which looks like I just ran into a glitch, Salesforce, Redtail, Zoho, Pipedrive, and Hubspot. If you have a customer that needs, a tool that's not on here, and I'm assuming they're a big customer because most people who are like, let's say 25 seats and below, like are barely aware of this stuff to some extent, you give us a call. That's what I'll say. And we'll talk to you and see what we can figure out.
Yeah, and then we had a question. Can you please provide a link to the Viirtue Chrome extension? It's we'll get one up here. Also, you can. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Perfect.
Type in Chrome Web Store and type in Viirtue. I think it's right there. Did we name it anything funny?
I think it's neutral branded. I can't remember if it's like neutral branded or if it. Oh, there you go. Yep, I'll have to fix that. But basically, yeah, you can use that one, of course, free of charge. But if you go into Vibe, which I was going to show in a second, but we do have a bunch of questions from in. Yeah. Let me share my screen
here. If you want to, yeah, whatever.
Where I lose screen share control. Sorry, guys, one sec here. So.
See, now I'm putting it back on you.
Yeah. Can you guys see my screen? The partner links here.
Yeah.
Can you guys all see this? Awesome. Perfect. So basically, if you just go here into partner links and Vibe and just click on to Loop, there'll be a landing page here. And if you just fill this out, you can get your own branded extension with Loop. But we did have a couple other questions here.
Sure.
Crystal said that was great. So thank you, Crystal. There was a question, has the issue with crazy CPU when extension is running been resolved?
Yeah. So, man, that's a good question. So I think I know exactly who's asking that too. No, so that was a problem.
Yes, Spencer, it's me.
What up, bud? I think I sent you an email a couple months ago about that. But yeah, so here's what happened. For context, our Chrome extension is not hidden in just the extension, it's hidden in the site. And the reason we do that is so we can make the buttons click to call. What we found was, and I'm giving you probably too much, but what we found was if our Chrome extension loaded after a website, click to call links weren't working. So what we did was we built a tool that refreshed every 3 seconds to make sure that click to call always worked. And that worked great until I met someone who's on this call. They were probably the first person to point it out, who has, and I won't put the number up there, but it's in the excess of 100 tabs open at once. And basically the CPU of the computer would get crushed because what we were doing is every tab that you opened, we had a 3-second refresh timer going. So if you didn't run, 25 tabs or less, you'd be good. So we had a friend of ours point that out. And what we did was we completely, all extensions moving forward, removed the refresh timer holistically. And instead we put a delay on the load time. So right when the page loads, we used to just load when we thought the page was done loading, but what happened was a page would load and then applications inside of a page would load. So what we ended up doing was putting in a longer delay on the timer, on the initial load timer, and that fixed everything. The only maybe counter argument would be, the click to call didn't turn into click to call in half a second. It turned into it in like 2 seconds. So yeah, we got that fixed, thank God. So sorry about that.
Cool. Awesome. And then you also had another question. Is there a possibility for using Loop on a website that doesn't have the phone number in the link?
I'm just going to say no. The answer is, So those websites, that's why I said 95%. Those websites are called SPA applications, and they're typically single page application. That's what SPA stands for. And what happens is the URL doesn't change. The page loads inside of the page. And unfortunately, we can't send information to their application because it's not designed to receive it. So click to call will work, but I won't be able to get screen pops working for you. I rarely see that, but what I will say is like some of those applications who do operate that way can have API documentation, and we could build a more complex integration where we do it based on API driven screen pops. We've had to do that in the past. In full transparency, 2 of the call logging applications of the 5 don't allow URL driven screen pops. And so what we do with them is we had customers who wanted call logging too. So we double dipped the chip. And when you turn on call logging with those, and when you call, we actually look up the records based on API. So I'm not going to say no, but it's the easiest answer is no.
So I guess one more question, Spencer, and then we'll cut over time today. A question came in about Outlook integration, and Spencer's app, it is a web-based app, so it's not going to integrate with the application, but it should integrate with that web app to a degree. So I don't know if Spencer.
100%, you nailed it. So we can do click to call out of Outlook web. So here's how this works. Just technically, it helps when I explain it this way. We look at the source code on a website, and that's how we send click to call APIs. So if it's not on a website, if it's a desktop application like Office 365 or Outlook or something like that, or I mean Outlook or any sort of desktop client, no dice at all. Dental software, anything that runs on the desktop, we can't help you, unfortunately. If it is in the browser, 100% of the time, maybe 99% of the time, click to call works because we look at the source code and we don't do anything there. So the answer to Dan is exactly what Dan said. If you're using Office through the browser, we can do click to call out of it. No problem.
Yeah, and the follow-up question was like Outlook desktop. Yeah, we won't work with the actual app, or Loops won't work with the application, but it will work if your users can switch to Outlook web app, which is essentially the same thing as the desktop application.
Dan, I got one quick question for with the growing traction of Edge browser, is there going to be an integration with Microsoft Edge?
It is. It's there today. So most people don't know, but Edge is actually Chrome. Microsoft gave up on Edge a couple of years ago, and they built it on a platform called Chromium. So you can actually, and I can show you this if you want me to do the screen share, but you can go into Edge, type in Chrome Web Store like we did with the Viirtue app, and add any Chrome app into Edge. So works today. We don't develop for Edge per se, but we've never had an issue with it either because the underlying infrastructure of Edge is Chrome.
And there's one more. I'm going to take one more, and that's it. I promise. And just because I think it's a good way to end this, this question came from Lauren, which is basically just how do we get it? What's the cost? Why do I need this? I know we went over that in like different pieces, but we could probably end it here. So let me real quick. I'll bring back up that part in the partner links where you can sign up for your own branded version. But we do have, if you just search the Google Chrome store for Viirtue, you'll see like our branded version of Loop is in there, and basically you guys can use that, of course, free of charge. But if you want your own branded version, you just come in here to Vibe, click on partner links, and Loop is the very first one in here. Just click onto that, and then you can sign up for your own version. And Spencer, I don't know if you want to just give the cost breakdowns, and we can.
So if we typically go with your firstborn, if you don't have a firstborn, we can work. So no, I'm just kidding. It's really simple. So everything we do is a month-to-month agreement. We literally don't have one contract that's not month-to-month. And then it's a fixed cost. So what I mean by fixed cost is we do not charge per seat. We do not charge per user. We do not charge per company. We charge per Chrome extension that we manage. So, and you can, what I mean by that is you can put unlimited companies, unlimited users onto your Chrome extension. And for either $100 a month for our basic or $200 a month for our pro. That always gets people confused because everyone's used to like hearing the seat terminology. Long and short of it is you can get click to call and screen pops for $100 a month with unlimited use, or you can upgrade to our Pro extension, and for $200 a month, you can do click to call screen pops and call logging into those 5 CRMs. My advice to anyone listening to this call, if you're interested in the product, is to start with the basic, unless you already have someone who's like a Salesforce, Redtail, Zoho, Pipedriver, HubSpot customer, and then you can upgrade. And that can get you started, you know, relatively easy. But I would also say, just from experience, where if you don't have a customer, so if you don't have a customer who's ready for this, or you figure out they do have a CRM, I would say, you know, probably use the Viirtue one for free until you're ready. So if you want to just play around with it and test it, definitely get started with the Viirtue one. You can get all the features and things like that, and you can start to do all of those sales tricks that I was telling you about. And then when you find a customer you need, I would advise not to sign up until, you know, they're ready to pay for it. We tried to build our pricing where the first customer would be either break even or ROI positive, and then every customer after that should make you money.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Spencer. I think that's that'll be it for questions. So thank you, Spencer, for joining us. It was an awesome one.
No problem, man. I thought I was gonna get more sales questions. It jumped right into the app.
Yeah, exactly. Always. But thank you again, and Char, thank you as well and everybody on here. Thank you guys for taking time out of your busy days to join us. We'll be posting this up to our KB as well as in the Viirtue Learning Center. If you guys want to rewatch it or distribute it to your team. But again, thank you so much, Spencer. You were awesome. Appreciate you.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
And Spencer will be at Connect end of the year too. So if you want to grab a drink,
make it happen.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.